welcome back to my channel. It is time again for another one of my Pearson comprehensive guides. I do a guide every single month that kind of just gives you a quick rundown about a very specific Pearson. And this month I will be discussing the navel Pearson, also known as the belly button Pearson. Every single month this topic is voted on by my patrons, so if you would like the opportunity to vote on the next Pearson comprehensive guide, you can go check out my Patreon. So I'm very excited to be discussing the navel Pearson today. Now, it is most commonly known as the belly button Pearson, but because there are a lot more syllables in belly button than there are in navel, for brevity's sake, I am gonna simply call it the navel Pearson throughout. Now, if you've never seen one of my Pearson comprehensive guides before, I do have a playlist where you can go see the ones that I've done already. Basically what happens is I break these guides down into 5 categories. What is the Pearson? The procedure and pain of getting this Pearson, healing and aftercare of this Pearson, jewelry sizing of this Pearson, typical sizing, and then jewelry options that you can actually wear in this Pearson. So without dragging this out any longer, let's go ahead and get started with what is a navel Pearson? This refers to the Pearson that typically sits on the top part of the belly button or navel, which is that fun little part on your stomach where your umbilical cord was attached to. There is a variation where you can get it pierced on the lower part of the navel, but for this video I'm going to be focused on the standard or the most common one, which is on the top part of the belly button. I said I was going to say navel, and I keep switching now. Navel. Just stick to it, Gretchen. This is one of those Pearsons that is anatomy dependent. There are some that really don't rely on anatomy too much. This one is one that does. You must have the correct anatomy in order to get it. It has to be pierced through the belly button, not the skin like on top of the belly button, like over top of it, like the stomach area. It has to be pierced through the belly button without being like inside of it, and I'll get to that in just a second. If it's pierced through the skin of the stomach, it's not gonna heal. And as someone that happened to, I can tell you right now, it's awful. You don't want that to happen to you. I was pierced incorrectly. If you would like to hear about that story, I have a really old video about it. It was something. You need to basically have what is referred to as a lip or a shelf where the jewelry can sit. There are several types of navel shapes that are not the best for getting this Pearson. The best thing that you can do is go to your piercer, show them your navel, and be like, hey, am I a good candidate for this Pearson? And they'll be able to look at it and determine whether or not you would be one that could get this done. And something to keep in mind is just the lip, the shelf, the ridge, whatever it's referred to as, that's the part that gets pierced, not the actual belly button, which is the part that is inside your belly button, like, you know, how it's a little hole. That's the part that's inside. Now, when it's not inside, we refer to this as an outie. Outie belly buttons are where the belly button is actually on the outside, like that piece of flesh is outside. There are a lot of complications that can come along with getting that pierced. It can lead to an infection, and it can just be all sorts of dangerous for you. Again, the best thing that you can do is seek out your professional piercer and ask them their thoughts. All right, now that you know exactly what Pearson we're gonna be talking about today, let's move on to the procedure and pain of getting one done. Pain-wise, most would agree that this isn't terrible. Usually people will say that it falls on a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing at all, 10 being the worst thing ever. People say that it falls around that 4. Now, I can actually speak a little bit from personal experience on this one, and I always said that when I got mine done, it was like a 2 out of 10. I hardly felt it. It was a breeze to get done. However, don't read too much into that, because then I did have to remove it like 9 days later because it got so infected and was rejected and was just pierced incorrectly. So maybe I'm not the best person to ask pain of that Pearson. It will pinch because it is a fleshier Pearson. However, it won't hurt as much as, say, a cartilage Pearson. Although you will recline or lay completely on your back for the actual Pearson, when you're being marked, you're gonna be standing up. That way the piercer can actually get a good idea of where the jewelry will sit. And much like with any other Pearson, the piercer is going to clean the area, sterilize the area, make sure that all of the implements are sterilized and are opened in front of you. Again, the markings for where exactly the Pearson will go will be made while you're standing straight up. And once you're laying down, the piercer will see a little bit more clearly where those marks are. And as always, your piercer may or may not use a clamp for this piercing. This is all up to personal preference. A lot of piercers do use a clamp just because it holds things steady, but then there are piercers that say that the clamp just gets in the way and they'd rather freehand it. So if you're sitting there going like, oh my god, my piercer didn't use a clamp, what the heck? It's fine. They just may have preferred not to. And usually this piercing will be done from the bottom up, or rather the inside of the belly button to the outside. So now that you have a better understanding of what to expect when getting this piercing done, and like pain wise and all that, and keep in mind pain varies from person to person, so take that as you will. Let's move on to everyone's favorite part, healing and aftercare. Sarcasm was rich there. Despite the fact that this is a fleshy piercing, and usually those don't take as long to heal as cartilage piercings, this one can take 6 to 9 months or even a year. And that is because it is a high traffic area, meaning your clothing's gonna be rubbing on it a lot. Swelling will go down about a month or 2 into the healing process, and it may even look like it's healed, but I can promise you it's not. This happens often with piercings. It'll look like it's healed, and I promise you 1 to 2 months, it's not. So like with other piercings, there is the standard aftercare with your saline salt solution. You can either do a pre-made one or you can make one yourself. I recommend NEILMED's pre-made solution. It's really awesome. The bottle has a pointed, like a tilted nozzle. You can just spray it directly onto the site and just kind of let it sit there, and then you can wipe around it. Or if you'd rather make your own, just make sure that you're making the correct measurements for it. If you are going to create your own, make sure that you are doing 8 ounces of distilled or bottled water. I always say this, don't use tap water. There's stuff in tap water that can irritate a piercing. Use distilled or bottled water, 8 ounces of it. Mix 1/8 to 1/4 of a teaspoon of non-iodized sea salt. And I said it, non-iodized sea salt. So don't come in here being like, can I use iodized sea salt? I just said non-iodized sea salt. And don't go any more than 1/4 of a teaspoon. Just because you added more salt to the solution does not mean it's going to heal faster, and in fact will prolong the healing process because it will irritate it further. Make sure that you're not overdoing the cleaning either. I always recommend twice a day is plenty. Once in the morning, once in the evening. If you notice like crusties building up around there, crusties are fine, but you can wipe them away with like a 3rd time during the day if you notice that there's a lot of them, but really twice a day you should be good. As always, do not use things like alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, Bactine, Neosporin, anything like that. Don't put that on that piercing. It's not meant for it. Alcohol products dry out the skin and can also destroy new skin cells that are trying to form after this wound was essentially made. Neosporin and Bactine also prevent oxygen from getting to the site and also create a damp environment where bacteria can live. Also, Bactine tells you on their website, don't use us on piercings. The company is telling you to not use their product on a piercing. Maybe the best thing to do is to not use it on a piercing. All of these are far too harsh. Just stick with your saline solution. When I say saline solution, I mean ones that are marketed for piercings. I've had people come in here before saying that they're using their like contact lens solution. Don't do that. Please don't do that. As always, don't mess with the jewelry. That means no twisting it, no fiddling with it, no nothing of that. Leave it alone. Again, make sure to clear away the crusties, especially if they're building up a little bit. So if you're noticing a lot of them, go ahead and clear them away. Be very careful with things like Q-tips. I know there are a lot of people that really don't like the use of Q-tips. I personally have not had a problem with them, but that is my experience. I know a lot of people use Q-tips too, but then you'll get those ones that say, oh my God, don't use them at all. It's more so just make sure that you are aware that the little fibers on Q-tips can get wrapped around the jewelry and cause irritation. Some specific things about the navel piercing. 1, if you're a stomach sleeper, you're not going to be able to be a stomach sleeper for about a year. Get onto your side or get onto your back. Don't be laying on your stomach. And if you're like me and you're really like high-waisted pants, here's a bummer. You're not going to be able to wear them while it's healing because the pants are going to be rubbing and sitting right on that piercing. You can't wear them. I'm sorry. Gotta go back to the early 2000s and wear those low-rise pants. Don't let your pants sit on top of that piercing. Also going off of that, don't wear really tight clothing, especially for those first few months, because that will further irritate the piercing by rubbing on it and like constricting it. And with any piercing, but very much so with navel piercings, avoid swimming. Don't go swimming at all in any bodies of water. I'm really hyping this one for the navel piercing because I feel like a lot of people get this piercing during the summer when really you want to get it during the fall, so then by the time the next summer rolls around, you can show it off. All right, now that I've destroyed everyone's dreams about having a navel piercing during the summer, just kidding. But now that we've gone over that, let's move on to everyone's favorite topic, Jewelry. Let's start with jewelry sizing. Typical sizing for a navel piercing is a 14 gauge or a 12 gauge. Kind of depends on the preference of the piercer. I think the common size is 14 gauge, but again, it kind of depends on that personal preference of your piercer. So be sure to ask them, double check before you leave the parlor and you're like, oh, what size is this jewelry? Just double check with them. Lengthwise, it's probably gonna start off around either 7/16 of an inch in length or 3/8 of an inch in length, which does seem pretty long, but that is to account for swelling because that's what it's gonna do. Once that swelling has gone down, you can either downsize to a 3/8 of an inch if that's not what you started with, or even 5/16 of an inch in length. But that one a lot of people find to be a little too short. Most people are very happy with that 3/8 of an inch in length. And now to jewelry options. Unfortunately, style-wise, you don't have many options. You have the curved barbell. That's pretty much what you can do. You could do rings, but I don't think it works very well, especially with pants kind of sitting on it. It'll make the ring fall flat. But at least with curved barbells, there's so many different like designs that you can get with them. You can get all sorts of stones. You can get dangles at some point. Don't start off with dangles. Make sure to do like the most basic jewelry when you're getting it done as your initial jewelry, just so that it can heal a little bit better. But then when it gets to that point of being healed, you can move on to like really pretty stones on them, gems on them, even those dangles, which are so cool looking. But usually you're gonna stick with that curved barbell. And there you have it. There is my piercing comprehensive guide to the navel/belly button piercing. Let's talk about it in the comments below. Do you have one of these piercings? Do you want one of these piercings? Are you like me and you had it before, but then you had to take it out because of extenuating circumstances and you still really want to get it, but you've kind of resigned yourself to the fact that you'll never be able to get it again and you're just kind of sad about it, but you're going to live vicariously through everyone else because they have some really cool looking ones? Put that in the comments below. Who knows, maybe I'll eventually get mine done. But let's talk about it. Tell me about your experiences with this piercing. Did you have an easy time with it or was yours a struggle? If you haven't gotten it done yet, what's holding you back? Let's chat. Special thank you to my patrons. You can help support the channel on Patreon while having access to videos early, viewing patron-only content, and more. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to go down there and hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so YouTube will let you know when I upload next. But until next time, bye all!